Good morning, y'all, and welcome to another recent read. So, oh goodness gracious, I am getting over a cold, but I still have this like lingering cough. It was a bad chest cold that I'm pretty sure my little one picked up from daycare. So I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that yesterday was Mother's Day, which is why I didn't really do much of anything, but I did end up finishing Blood Sugar, which is a thriller about a woman who is basically walking you through how she's murdered people, but she's not a sociopath and she's not this serial killer. She just has had circumstances that have, you know, put her in a position where she's had to kill people. And it's a very interesting book, and I can't really say much about it because of the fact that part of the thrill of the book is following her narrative and basically seeing where she takes the story. I think that one of the strongest aspects of this book is that it heavily relies on character development, because the story unfolds, you get to see this person as a character, and what the author does is at the very end of the book, they make you question yourself as a person. Because as a reader, I could not believe that when we got to a certain part of the book, because she has murdered people and she comes to this point where she's being accused of murdering her husband, and you as a reader end up in a position where you're actually rooting for her. You're basically saying, like, you know, I don't want anything bad to happen to this human, and I can understand why she's killed these people. I mean, it's all circumstantial. And it's like, but no, it's not circumstantial. This woman has murdered people, okay? It can't be circumstantial. It can't just be, oh, you know, I understand where you're coming from and I feel for you, and I understand where you decided to make that decision. But that is the beauty of this book, and that is how wild this book is, and how much the author really plays on human emotion, and how when certain things are broken down, you can kind of prey on the emotions of people and their empathy for other humans, and trying to be compassionate and understanding for what people have gone through. But I thought it was very well written. It is not anything that's like action packed or anything like that. It's a slow burn. I don't even know if I would really classify this as, I mean, I guess I can understand why they classify it as a thriller, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a thriller, meaning that there is no huge reveal. There is a reveal, but it was kind of like, wow, that's pretty effed up. But it wasn't anything where I was like, okay, this is what I am used to in a signature thriller. I think that for the most part, it was one of those situations where I was like, okay, well, now the pieces of the puzzle are really like falling together. And I more so was surprised about how I felt towards her at the end of the book. I felt sorry for her, and I felt bad that she had been through so much, and I felt bad that people were treating her bad, and at the same time, like, she's a murderer. And it really is about human empathy, human emotion, and logic, and it is a brilliant character study. I was very surprised going into it. It was not what I was anticipating it to be, and it ended up being really, really good, y'all. So I am going to end up giving that one 4 stars. I am almost finished with Big Hard Sex Criminals, which is the bind up of volumes 1 and 2 of Sex Criminals. And I had read volume 1 and 2 before. This is a reread for me, and I will be starting with new material with volume 3. I just don't remember it being so serious and so deep, and so it covers a lot. It delves into mental health, and I don't know why I didn't remember that. Maybe because it's been years since I've read it, but I will talk about that a little bit more whenever I end up doing a full wrap up of it. I am currently on my way to physical therapy because I have some issues with my wrist going on, so I'm headed to PT, and then I'm off work today, so I have some catching up on some filming that I need to get done. I'm also currently listening to Shinji, Takahashi, and the Mark of the Coatl. And this is by Julie Kagawa. And it's a new middle grade. It is a young boy who travels with his aunt. And I believe she does just some not architectural, artifact based, like hunting, stuff like that. And he comes across an artifact. And it's interesting. What I'm very interested in is that he is getting attached to this Coatl, which he found at like this vendor place, and it's bound itself to him. And one of the villains has already said, like, it's interesting that this Coatl has bound itself to you and you're not of Mesoamerican descent, which is the Coatl is attached to Mesoamerica. And so I'm very interested in seeing how Kagawa like ties this in, considering that her primary character is of Asian descent. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, and then when I finish something else, I will check in with y'all. Hey y'all, so I'm just doing a quick check-in. I haven't really checked in since I told y'all about the blood sugar, which I finished. I just got finished. I'm kind of like frazzled. I just got finished doing a workout. I got enrolled in this health program for work, and today was my day to do cardio, so I did, and holy crap. So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't a long, your average 30-minute workout, but still, when you don't work out that much, when you start getting back into it, it is tough. So I did end up finishing a book today, and it was Shinji Takahashi and the Mark of the Coatl. And I think I am floating somewhere between 3.5 and 4 stars. So I don't know how much about this one. I told y'all because I think I was in the car and I was talking about it a little bit. So this book is about Shinji. He goes on these expeditions with his aunt, and he ends up meeting this woman at a market, and it's this relic that he ends up finding, and she tries to sell it to him at a high price. He bargains it down. So he ends up actually getting marked with a tattoo, which is a mark of the Coatl. And so they end up going on this huge journey that is about him having to let me start over there. He gets caught up with this other organization that clearly wants to use the Mark of the Coatl to find something else. I can't remember the specific name of it, to help them be able to generate some magic. And so, of course, he doesn't, want to do anything like that because they've put his aunt in harm's way. So him and another character end up bonding together, and they end up trying to connect with a different group of people, or they end up connecting with a different group of people who are supposed to be breaking this curse. Since he has a mark, he's supposed to be breaking this curse, and it takes him through this whole entire adventure or whatever. And it was okay for me. I think I'm gonna go with the 3.5 stars, y'all, because at the end of the day, like, keeping it 100, the book was not as entertaining as I was anticipated being. There were a couple times when I was like, when is this book gonna be over with? I feel like I've been listening to it forever. I do think that this is going to be a good middle grade, like, adventure story for people, and I think that a lot of kids are going to enjoy it, especially when Shinji has to go through a lot of, like, the challenges when it comes down to a couple of final points in relationship to the Mark of the Coatl. And I think that the mythological aspects of it are really interesting, but the story overall for me as a whole was just not hitting. and it could have been like me also not being in the mood for it. I think that it does bring up some interesting points about not necessarily colonialism, but basically people kind of coming in, like treasure hunters coming in and taking things from communities and claiming them as their own without thinking about the effects or the impact that it would have on said community. So I really like that. I don't know if kids who are reading this are necessarily going to get that, but I know as an adult I really appreciated that conversation. And this is one of those stories too where we see a Japanese American kid just existing. So it doesn't have anything to do explicitly with like his identity. There's no trauma, no nothing like that. It literally is just him going on an adventure. So I know before I had said like I was very interested in how she was going to make this flow with like Shinji being Japanese American and somehow being tied to this whole entire idea of the Coatl and it being from Mesoamerica. And I think that she still leaves room for that conversation because one of the characters in the book does say like, I don't understand why the Mark of the Coatl chose you when you're not, like you have no Mesoamerican heritage. And so I do find that to be interesting. I just think that this one definitely is a foundation for the rest of the series. Like it's going to be a series, if I'm not mistaken, these books, and I don't know if Julie Kagawa is writing all of them or if she just wrote this specific one, but it is supposed to be, I believe it's something related to Disney. I cannot remember. It's supposed to take some aspect of Disney World, I believe, and turn it kind of into book form. That's my understanding. Yeah, it's based on the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, SEA lore that exists across the Walt Disney parks. This is an all-new action-adventure middle grade series that blends SEA into 21st century through a blend of science and magic. I do like that there was a STEM focus and we had a young girl that was very much so into like technology. She was a technological like prodigy, and there was some conflict and some reasons. It does have really interesting like plot twist. I think that towards the end it was a lot of aspects of it that I did not see coming. There's a lot of like Shinji not knowing who to trust, so there are a lot of like beneficial components to this story that I did enjoy, but I think that a good portion of it was kind of bland to me. So I was like, this is kind of sitting more so like at a 3-5 for me as a reader, but I definitely do see like middle grade readers definitely enjoying it a lot more. Think like Indiana Jones adventure, except less problematic, and basically that's what you're getting in the story. So I actually received a box, which I don't even know where it is at this point. I received a box from Disney that is supposed to be Jasmine Guillory's new book, which is Tale as Old as Time. I'm going to do an unboxing on my Instagram, so if you don't follow me on Instagram, it will be up by the time that this video goes up. The unboxing will be up. But I am going to, first of all, let me get this, y'all. I think I'm tired. I think that's what's going on here. There's a lot going on in my brain right now. I think that when I saw the book, I had already seen it, like that my library had gotten and whatever. I'm not the biggest Jasmine Guillory like fan. I've read one of her books and I did not like it at all. But I didn't realize that it was a part of a new thing that Disney was doing in terms of like series that they are starting, like an adult series that they're starting. And I did not know that Julie Murphy's book was the first book in this new like adult companion series of retellings of like Disney classics. So the first one, If the Shoe Fits, by Julie Murphy, and the series is called A Meant to Be. So I thought that I would pick up the first one before I read the one that Disney sent me, and I'm 34% into that, and it is a Cinderella retelling, except it is like a Bachelor-esque type of retelling where our main character Cindy is in this Bachelor competition, and I like it. Like, I am really enjoying this. Like, really enjoying it. So I'm going to finish up. I have an early night tonight because I have some stuff that I have to do for work really early in the morning. So while I'm getting ready for bed, I'm going to be listening to that one. I do want to finish core sex is it hard sex criminals, sex criminals, the hardcover bind up. I want to finish that tonight because I only have like 20 or 30 pages left of that. And then 2 picture books that I read. See, this is why I like doing it vlog style, because I can easily talk about the picture books. The first picture book that I ended up reading was Where Wonder Grows, and this is a beautiful picture book about a grandmother who is with her grandchildren, and she is telling them all of these, oh my gosh, y'all, it leaves me speechless, all of these beautiful things about like the meteorites and the rocks and the crystals and how it connects to their background, their culture. And it is a beautiful book. I mean, if you've never seen the illustrations in this, the illustrations are gorgeous. Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. But it really does have this connection with people and the earth and the things that are around us, and how you appreciate them in a way that's different from what I think society generally tells you. But this is just a beautiful book, and I love that in the back too, they actually like included facts about rocks, like just different things. They explain things like what is a sweat lodge, what the elements of fire, earth, and water mean in indigenous ceremonies. And it's just like, oh, this was really good. And I mean, the artwork was gorgeous. And then me and baby girl also ended up reading Halal Hot Dogs, which this was cute. So it is about this little boy and his family, and every day at the Juma prayer they have a special treat, and they've been doing like rotations of who is supposed to provide the special treat. So when it's his turn, he decides to provide the family with halal hot dogs, and it's like a kind of funny story of misfortune, but also like learning more about just different aspects of his family, learning more about halal hot dogs. Like, I like that, like in the author's note here, which is why I love some of these picture books, y'all. Like, so in the author's note, we learn a little bit more about like what inspired the story, and then also about halal laws, which I did not know a lot about it. And so it is a great description for like kids and parents who are learning more about halal hot dogs, and I'm hoping I'm saying that right. But so yeah, so we did read these 2 picture books. I have a couple more that I'm probably going to try to read through tonight as well, because I need to turn some of this stuff in. But I have 2 Carnival, A Celebration in St. Lucia, Tia Fortuna's New Home, which I read this one already, but I want to read it again, and Jaden's Impossible Garden. So I have quite a few things. I also need to finish up my read of Arusha, but we'll see where it goes, y'all. I am exhausted. I'm not going to get through all this stuff tonight, clearly, because I'm just not. But yeah, all right, I will check in when I finish something else. Hey y'all, so I ended up, well, I'm finishing up my lunch right now, and I just wanted to check in and let you know that I had finished a couple of things. I don't even remember the last things that I updated you on, but I ended up finishing one thing, which is the one thing that I can think of right now, is If the Shoe Fits. which I really ended up enjoying. This is a new thing that Disney is doing, which is like their meant to be line, which is a line of adult romances that their print is doing. They usually do more children's related stuff, but they're doing adult stuff with this imprint. And this is clearly a retelling of Cinderella, and it's about a woman by the name of Cindy who loves designing clothes, namely shoes. It kind of does stick to the storyline pretty well. Both of her parents have passed away. She lives with her stepmother, and after she graduates from college, she goes home and she ends up being cast on a reality show that her stepmother is the executive producer for, because they had a girl who dropped out. And basically what I loved about this so much is that if you did not enjoy One to Watch, if you did not like the fat rep in One to Watch, if you just didn't like the direction that One to Watch went in with a reality TV show basis, then you will enjoy If the Shoe Fits. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I thought it was well written. I thought the pacing was good. The character development was really well. Like, of course, our main character, Cindy, faces some microaggressions with the way that people like perceive her, talk about her. And when we're talking about fat people in the fashion industry, of course, she ran into some struggles, but she was so sure and confident in who she was and in her body, and she didn't need that validation from anyone. And just nothing about it was like written in a way where I was like, this is kind of questionable. Like, I'm not sure about the representation. In this book, it was just done so well, and I just really, really appreciated the fact that we got the story itself. The reality TV show aspect of it was fun. Like, all parts and components of it were really, really fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. And gosh, I just couldn't stop reading it. Just consumed it. It took me about a day to read it and listen to it on audio, but it was just really, really good. So there's something else I'm forgetting that I read, but I will take a look at my Goodreads and I will review it and let y'all know what I read. But I did also decide I finished up The No Family. I'm still gathering my thoughts. I don't even think that I said that I was reading that one. I'm still gathering my thoughts about that one, so I will gather my thoughts and then I review it. And I decided to start a Magic Steeped in Poison. So probably what I would do is, because I'm running on time here, I gotta get back to work. Whenever I do get the opportunity, I will sit down. I will see to remember what book am I forgetting. I know I'm forgetting something. I will see what I'm forgetting. I will review that, and I will also talk about The No Family, which, if you like K-dramas, which I've never seen a K-drama, so now when I go home today, like, I want to watch a K-drama. Yeah. Hey y'all, so I'm doing a check-in and I am sorry, I'm super sweaty because I decided to get a workout in this morning, and we decided to do a trail walk. It's like a 2.5 mile trail walk at the park this morning. So I just wanted to check in and let you know exactly what I had finished so far. And I had finished the No Family, which is it's a YA contemporary book, kind of like based around K-dramas, which is interesting. Like I said before in an earlier clip, like I had never seen a K-drama before, but it was a really, really interesting read. About 3.5 stars. It's about a young girl who, well, she actually she graduated from high school, so she's about to go to college, and she takes a 23andMe test, and she figures out that there's a person who also has taken the test who happens to be possibly her cousin, and she's confused because her mom had told her that like her dad had passed away, he had no siblings, there's no family. Come to find out that that wasn't true, and that she does have family in Korea, and her family's extremely wealthy. They own this department store. She ends up going to Korea to meet her family, and she finds out, of course, like things are a little bit more complicated than she anticipates. And so she decides to stay there to get to know them, even though her mom is kind of against her being there because she doesn't feel comfortable with her getting to know that side of her family. But come to find out, there's like this huge family secret as to why her mother doesn't want her to get to know that side of her family. And so the reveal was really interesting. I really did like the familial dynamics between like our main character and her mom. It was interesting watching her like get to know her watching her get to know her other side of her family, so her dad's side of the family, and learning about the history and stuff like that. I think like if you're a fan of like K-dramas and stuff like that, then you probably will enjoy it. I've never watched a K-drama, so I thought the writing was pretty decent. The pacing was good. It was kind of like, a very stereotypical YA contemporary. So there wasn't anything about it that was like memorable per se. I think that we saw a lot of themes in the book that we typically see in a lot of YA contemporary sense. So it was decent. I mean, I'm interested in seeing like what the author is going to do in the future, but it wasn't anything that was like exceptionally like mind-blowing. But if you do like YA contemporaries, you're a fan of K-dramas, I think that's something that may be of interest. So I ended up finishing a middle grade graphic novel called Magic Fish. It's about a Vietnamese boy who is gay, and he's trying to figure out how to tell his mother, because what they do is they do storytelling to each other in order to help her work on her English, because he primarily speaks English, and so that's their way of helping her practice her English. So it's interesting because it's kind of like we get 3 stories. We get kind of like her experience growing up in Vietnam, and then the stories of the fairy tales, and then we also get like the in real time story, which I thought was a really, really neat mashup and was really, really interesting. I thought the art was really good. It was interesting seeing like fairy tales told that were very similar to the Vietnamese like versions of the fairy tales that the mother had grown up hearing. And the artwork was really beautiful. I just thought it was really heartwarming. And by the time we got to the end, my heart was just like melting because of the communication that ends up happening between the young boy and his mother. So I ended up enjoying that one. That one definitely is a 4-star read for me. I absolutely adored it. So we're gonna keep walking. I have like a couple other things I want to update y'all on, but we will do that later. Hey y'all, so I just wanted to do a final check-in for this week's recent reads. I think I have pretty much wrapped up everything. I'm trying to figure out like what I haven't talked about. I think the only thing that I had not talked about when I was at the park was I had not talked about Big Heart Sex Criminals, which I did end up finishing this week. It is a story about a couple that can stop time whenever they have sex and they orgasm. And I had read volumes 1 and 2 a long time ago, but it's been a while since I read them, so I decided to reread them. And I read it as I think they come in hardcover editions when it's like the Big Hard Sex Criminals. I think those are the like hardcover bind-ups. So that included volume 1 and 2. I read that. It's not for everybody at all. I will say that like straight up front. It is not for everyone. It definitely has a lot of sex humor, sexual jokes, sexual innuendo, sex on page, and it's really, really not for everybody. But you could tell that Chip Zdarsky and Matt Fraction like had a lot of fun writing it, and I was very surprised that like in volume 2 there's like a deep exploration of like mental health and mental health awareness, which I completely forgot about because it's been so long since I read it, so it was unexpected, and I really did end up enjoying it. I think I ended up giving that one 4 out of 5 stars, and I think in this upcoming week I probably will make the decision to go ahead and continue with the rest of the series. There are some other comics that I had checked out that I wanted to get to first, but that one is definitely one that's on my radar to continue. Last night during the sprint with Bree, I ended up reading or starting and finishing Tokyo Ghoul. This is a manga series. I have the complete series, like Tokyo Ghoul, not Tokyo Ghoul Re. And this is about a guy by the name of Ken who is living in a world where ghouls walk amongst humans, and they look like humans, they disguise themselves as humans, but they eat humans. So that's always fun. And so Ken ends up getting attacked by a ghoul, but in some weird life-saving type of situation, he ends up becoming half ghoul, half human. And so this is about his adjustments being a part of 2 worlds now. This is definitely a setup. This first volume is definitely a setup. It was a lot better than what I had anticipated. I don't know what I was expecting, but this definitely looks at like humanity, perceptions of things that are different from us. And so I can't wait to see where the series is going to go, because it kind of ends on this like, welcome to our world. We need to teach you what it's like to exist in our world. So I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm hoping to maybe continue it this upcoming week. We will see, because I have a lot of things that I need to get through this upcoming week, which I will talk about in my next recent reads. I also didn't get the opportunity to talk about The Magic Fish, and this is or maybe I talked about this one a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. I feel like I talked about it. This is probably going to be double, because I feel like I talked about it when I was at the park, but I can't remember. But anyway, I did read The Magic Fish, which of course is about a young Vietnamese boy who is gay and is having a hard time coming out to his parents because there is no Vietnamese equivalent to it. And so his mother practices English by listening to stories that he tells her, which just, regular like American fairy tales that I think when you read them, a lot of them are going to come off as being like pretty familiar to some stories that we know. And so it's kind of told in like 3 varieties. I did talk about this one because now I can remember like what I was saying, but it definitely is one, so I'm going to stop right there, but it's definitely one that I did enjoy, and I really liked the color scheme. Like they used purple, which the air is about to come on, which is great. Once again, in this vlog, it is hot, y'all. I am so sorry that the air is on, but I love that they use different colors to indicate like what was part of fairy tales and what was part of the reality of the story. And the last 2 things that I'm going to talk about are going to be Hearstopper volume 1 and 2. So I did end up finishing volume 1. As you can see from one of the clips, I watched this with my patrons today, and I have already read volume 1 before, but it made me like want to reread it. So it took me like half an hour to reread it. Absolutely loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I mean, everybody knows what Hearstopper is about. 5-star read, definitely 5-star. I did end up starting volume 2, so I'm not going to talk about that one in this recent reads because it will be one that I will cover in next week's recent reads. So here we are, and that is it, y'all. I have been actually like reading a lot. There were a couple things that I ended up starting this week that I didn't finish that I will probably take into next week. One of them being The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. Didn't finish that one. I'm about 75% into that one, so I probably will finish that this upcoming week, which you will see in the next recent reads. And I literally am like 5 or 6 pages away from finishing The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. It's so cute. I'm loving it. I cannot wait to read the rest of the series, but I'm putting kind of like, you know, that like, okay, I'm gonna stop right here and we're gonna wrap this one up. So that is it, y'all. Let me know in the comment box below what you've recently read. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. I apologize for the sound of the air conditioner. It's so fucking loud, but it's so hot here, y'all. It's supposed to be like in the 90s this week, and I'm not prepared at all. Like, we went from winter to fucking summer, and welcome to the South. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you've been reading so far in May, and I will be back with another video soon.